I started thinking about my son's transition to secondary school halfway through year 5. It was very daunting because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really know how the process would work because my son had special educational needs and he had an education, health and care plan. I decided to speak to the SENCO at the school. We agreed that we would talk about his transition to secondary school at his EHCP annual review.
The school will hold an annual review at the end of year 5, and you will be invited to this meeting so that you can have an opportunity to discuss and ask questions about your child's transfer to secondary school.
The annual review was really helpful because it allowed us to focus on the EHCP plan and what changes perhaps needed to be made and what environment best suited my son. I was asked to start thinking about secondary school preferences.
The local authority will send out preference forms to you just after the summer holidays when your child is moving into year 6, so that you can express preferences of schools you might have for your child. The local authority will consider these whilst also adding local authority choices.
I first started looking on the website. I had identified a couple of schools that I was interested in. I looked on the school website and then my son and I visited the open days at the school. We attended more than once. My son was keen to explore schools that his friends were going to. We were able to visit some schools that were suggested to us by professionals, but it was important to know that the local authority case officers couldn't recommend schools to us.
The local authority will write to you in the summer term of year 5 to ask you for any school preferences you might have. The local authority will also ask you to consider local options, so that your child can continue to be part of their community.
It was really important that we managed not only my expectations, but my son's expectations. If I was given any advice to any parents, try and ask as many questions about the services that the school provides as possible.
Consultations with schools and discussions over a possible school placement for your child will begin in the autumn of year 6.
Once we get the annual review paperwork, the very first thing we do is we have a look at it and then we'll decide on the next steps. Whether amendments to your child's education health care plan are needed, whether any reassessments are required, and ensure the EHC plan informs the consultations and that it's a true reflection of that child.
The local authority's phased transfer panel, consisting of multi-agency representatives, will look at school options and the type of school setting required for each child.
The family have 15 days to get back to the SEN team regarding the amendments that has been made on the EHCP.
You have 15 days from receiving the draft EHC plan for your child to comment on any proposed changes that you would like us to consider. All changes would have to be evidence-based. If the state-maintained school is in a different borough, Lewisham Council will also have to consult with that local authority. The panel will consider all the evidence presented when recommending which schools should be consulted during the meeting. The schools will have 15 days to provide a formal response to our consultation for a placement from the date of receiving the consultation. All consultation responses from schools will be considered by the local authority and partners via panel process before a final decision is made about which school should be named in your child's EHCP.
In most cases, a school will be named in Section I of your child's EHCP. However, in some cases, we might only be able to name a type of school whilst consultation continues.
For me, it was really important that I built up a really good, strong relationship with the primary Senko, so that if I had any concerns or any issues at all, or my son had any anxieties or worries, that I was able to communicate and articulate that.
The final EHCP will be issued by the deadline of the 15th of February in the year your child will be transferring to secondary school, which is the statutory deadline.
So my son has just completed his year 7, and while that has had its challenges, we've come through it, him as an individual, but as a family as well. So we are now looking forward for him going into year 8 and, the future ahead.